to be said for OXG. So this game is actually, even though it's not actually a lot in terms of formal qualifications, this is a good litmus test for
So it's actually, but not actually.
Everything I just said made perfect sense. Down to the syllable.
Ooh.
Down to the syllable. It made perfect sense what I was doing.
You know what is insane to me between these two teams?
What is?
Is, well, yes, this game obviously has some things on the line. It's not as impactful as our next two games. The thing that's craziest to me is that over the last 4 games, OXG have not won enough rounds to even win a single match.
It's especially concerning when, obviously, Villa not in the series today. Maps you saw earlier, Border, Club, Chalet. But OXG got 7-0'd on Villa, then went back to it again, and lost to basically the same scoreline. I know! Something's not going right.
That was a sound of disbelief.
I know.
Something
is not going right, not only in the comms for OXG, but in the game, in the server, whether it be the coach or the players.
Something changed.
Something has changed, and that's the problem. You know what's not changed? It has been teams banning Brava against OXG.
And Soniqs bans are now effectively locked in because they ban Solus in every single game.
That is true. We will likely see that Solus ban be the last one. OXG have shown a bit more flexibility in their defensive bans. They consistently ban Valkyrie and Azami, not just one or the other.
Oh.
So we could see, Parker, either of those bans on the board right now. Oh my lord. We have the Azami. But as you said earlier, if
Solus? This is going to be Solus.
If SQ continue with their trend, this would be Solus ban 11.
Ball. It's opening day, baby. Curveball.
Prime number.
I want to see it. I want to see what you've done.
I mean, Solus is a very good operator ban on many maps, Border especially. Getting that opening pick is very useful for the attack. If you can deny those drones, you don't have to worry about it.
You know why it took them so long to ban Solus?
Why?
Because 3 members of Soniqs are still trying to find where their webcams are.
Unfortunately, they've not come in the mail yet. They're at the repair shop. At the webcam repair shop. So we'll have to wait and hope that we get Citizen, Geo, and or Grixer's cameras. However,
I don't think Citizens had a camera at all. Grixer and Geo have.
Not to, I mean, you know, no disrespect to any of the other SQ players, but
Be real.
As long as I have Gunner's camera, I'm happy. That's all I'm happy about.
I want Gunner's comms. That's what I want. I want to hear him yelling.
Gunner's a loud guy. Gunner's very vocal, and I imagine he will have a lot to say during this game, especially if we see players like Newers underperform. Gunner likes to trash talk. He likes to get in the heads of his opponents, even if he is maybe not as active in the chat as other players. And Newers has been underperforming in the NAL so far, not only throughout the majority of these games, but especially in the past 4 losses that OXG have had. But of course, underperforming for Newers is a bit of a difficult metric. We expect him to take over games, and he's just had an okay performance. But if he doesn't show up today as well, this could be OXG's first Border loss of the stage so far, as they are currently 3-0.
Their most played map.
Most played map by a wide margin.
5 seconds remaining.
About yay big.
That's about as big as I expected.
Name another map that they play.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
There you go.
The defender has been discovered.
Now, me personally, I will say this. We're starting out with the Azami ban. That does mean that if Soniqs want to hold this site, they'll have to use this mirror to hold 90, but they also can't play in CCTV as aggressively because it's a lot easier to push this position. If the Kiba barriers are not there, you don't have somebody actively blocking angles, blocking doorways, like Sweater's doing right now. If there were an Azami here, Kiba would already be on that doorway.
It really does allow you to extend out to security with a lot greater safety and security.
I see what you did there.
Teams have been recently favoring this office side execute of the top 4 bomb site. There's gonna be some cobwebs the first match. A nade, oh, getting so close. Didn't hit him. Some of that soft wall opened up. Sounds like another nade dropped as well, confronting the mirror window. Ooh! Geo had been there for about a minute. That persistence pays off.
I don't know where that Geo on Oryx was yesterday. He was playing a little bit of the operator. Not to the same, at least, extent that mechanical skill showed. Did fairly well, but if we're having that kind of geometrics today, as Super Calls, I've said this before, the most winningest player in all of Rainbow Six, this could be a very quick one for the Soniqs if even your backline is shooting that straight. As Parker mentioned as well, team's been favoring this east side execute on Armory. But Gunner, it's still a minute and a half left, and he's not been cleared off in this position. If he can hold on for 30 more seconds, even with that mirror window popped, and with the C4 prepped down below as well, OXG are going to have a very difficult time taking this, especially since CCTV is still in the hands of the defense.
Citizen lurking down below is not too much of a surprise. Expect him to get back to the bomb site with about 20 seconds left, unless the rest of his team is able to mop him up. Foxay off of the Bravo because he can't play her at all, so instead we'll go to another drone operator. And it works out with the 417 in hand, eviscerating Geo inside of security. One of the players for Soniqs removed off site. His focus from OXG, though, still on Armory. Archives. Looking at the Archives door.
Just waiting.
Oh, no.
All right, well, Gunner's dead. I'm not sure if I like that play because
Rest
now...
in peace, Boo Boo.
Rest in peace, Boo Boo. Now that offense control is in the hands of OXG, Newers might actually be able to push in here and then make a further play for Armory with Yaga on side of Armory Balk as well.
He's just waiting for them to give the call. Yaga posted up as the smoke might clear. Citizen taking some damage, so that was the lurker now, who's obviously softened up just a little bit. One behind half wall, still popped up. Easy pick for Yaga, walks in. OXG, well, they sweep through the front part of the bomb site. It looked like their focus was going to be on Archives, but Armory was where it all went down. They get the final 3 kills.
Gotta say, it's a very surprising round for Soniqs to lose. They had all of the power positions on border firmly in their grasp by about a minute left in the round, which is pretty shocking, especially because OXG lost the opening duel as well. Soniqs still had CCTV, they still had Office, they still had East Stairs, but then Soniqs players either get peeked and die, in the case of Foxay taking down Geo inside of CCTV. That's going to happen sometimes, you lose a 1. But then you have Gunner rotating out of Office and pushing to East Stairs. Now, he was facing a lot of pressure in that position, but because he gave himself up to some of the players still lurking over there and watching that very position he ended up rotating to on top of East Stairs, gives another gunfight to OXG, the man advantage as well, and now OXG, who were a very passive, very stalled out attack for the majority of that site, end up getting the exact opening they need, gifted to them for free.
Well, we are just getting a rehost in. There was some criticisms from the players in regards to server issues, maybe some server degradation. Not entirely sure, but gives us an opportunity to see all of the player cams in action.
Shout out to Rexon.
Shout out to Newers.
Rexon's got his whole stream set up.
Mm-hmm.
Newers doesn't really stream, but you know he's got a camera.
Rexon actually has the horn, and it's a funny story involving that horn. As you can see over his shoulder on the right side of your screen, there is a horn with a Rainbow Six logo on it. Could be a tusk, I suppose, whatever you'd like to call it.
Looks like a horn to me.
It's from the Yavla Major. So typically, whenever we go to a major, all players and all broadcast crew get, usually it's a backpack, a sweater, and then a water bottle. It's all branded with whatever the major may be. Sometimes you get a t-shirt. So I never bring a water bottle because I always get one.
Yeah, smart.
So I didn't bring one to the Yavla Major thinking, yeah, I'll get a water bottle. And what they gave me was that horn. So that horn took the place of a water bottle.
Did you drink from the horn at all?
No, of course not.
It was a perfectly valid question. That was a perfectly valid question to ask.
So how am I supposed to bring this?
You ever seen like Game of Thrones or something? They drink from horns. Could be celebratory.
What year are we in?
Could be for nourishment. I don't know.
I mean, we're currently in Denmark, so if you asked the Danes about the Swedes, you'd probably get an unflattering answer. I'm not going to attempt to do a Danish accent.
I wouldn't do it either.
Because I feel like production would just immediately kick me off the broadcast. But I mean, like, a horn. Who drinks from a horn?
I suppose horns do have holes at both ends, so you can't really drink from it, can you? Well,
no, it's fully closed on the bottom. You could, in theory, put liquid in it. And drink.
So you're telling me the one point you had to counter the idea of drinking from a horn is not valid? So what I'm correct is what you're saying.
How are you expecting to either get on a shuttle or walk to the venue with a horn that fits maybe like 3 mouthfuls of a beverage?
I'm not saying you carry it.
And the best part is that it requires a stand to stay upright, so I can't even just like leave it on the desk or else then the horn moves and all the water spills.
Newers is losing his mind right now. He's slamming the desk.
Anyway, I wanted to bring it home because
he had a horn.
There's no way that I went through all of this agony with no water bottle to just leave this thing here. So I gave it to my parents, and my dad was like, this thing looks like a nightmare to dust. So he stuffed it full of aluminum foil, and now it just sits on like a shelf somewhere in our house. Because he's like, I'm not dusting the inside of this thing.
If you're just tuning in, by the way, it's only been 1 round so far between OXG and Soniqs.
Same thing happened yesterday.
Same thing.
We went 1 round in, and then we had a rehost.
You might as well get him out early if you're going to have him.
Let's host him up.
Deal with it early on, and if you did miss it, OXG basically just sat outside the building for about 2 minutes and then SQ players started walking in front of them, taking gunfights. OXG won all those fights, and then OXG won the round. So what I do want to see, even though we did just see a round victory from OXG, I want to see a little bit more pace setting on the attack, especially for a team that I believe actually has the combined worst entry differential in the NAL so far. I'll hopefully see on Border especially, their map pick to boot, a little bit more excitement, a little bit more agility in the early round, a little more aggression, if you will.
See, lots of energy, lots of focus.
Lots of energy, lots of focus. Honestly, just let Newers be Newers. Let them freak out. Let them walk in, get a two-piece.
Ooh, let Newers be Newers is a good one. So we should write that on a cocktail napkin.
We are protected.
Slide it across.
I see what you did there.
It's a West Wing reference. Get to nerd out together.
It's a good show.
I don't know why every single player in this lobby is a frozen image of Yaga, but it's very funny and also frightening at the same time.
We should keep it that way.
Yeah, we should just put that up. There it is.
Shout out to Yaga.
That's incredible stuff.
He dropped from M80, quickly picked up by OXG.
Back up.
Back up. Vertical drop, then picked up by Beast Coast, and then Beast Coast.
Oh, that was the real Yaga. No, put it back. Yeah!
Honestly, it kind of just looks like the frozen Yaga. Could be the same person.
He's not very emotive.
No, he's not. I mean, things could
There's
change.
frozen Yaga again. Hell yeah.
Things could change. Yaga and Newers right now moving through that top floor, but there's a C4 place down below with a Pulse looking right at them. Rexon getting the opening pick. Unfortunately here, 2 rounds in a row, OXG losing the opening duel. But if it goes like the last round, OXG might just wait and they could still win it.
You know what the problem is, though, is that that Nitro cell was placed on the breakable part of the floor, but Rexon just continues going onwards. Very good for him. So the Nitro cell wouldn't actually kill them because that part of the floor is actually indestructible. That's a little fun.
How silly.
How silly is that?
Unfortunate.
OXG, despite surrendering the very first pick in the previous round, they're very graceful through the rest of it. Ended up winning the round. They can make things work when fighting from behind. A little bit harder of a prospect right now as they attack this ventilation workshop defense down below. You were very correct in your assessment that Soniqs just gave them a bunch of freebies, and I mean, I guess Gunner's gonna do it again.
There's one more there as well. Tucks just around the corner and Printer. 2 players around him. But, oh, there we go. Newers does check it, and we're back in a similar position, despite OXG dropping 2 bodies instead of just 1. And with Rexon on low HP as well, sure, the time might be low, but now OXG have an avenue into the site. If they can play the trades or even just take down Rexon, who is right next to the default, this could be another OXG round despite losing 2 people at the beginning of the round.
Pestered by drones. You got Citizen on this lurk. Probing well off site, and oh my goodness, he might be able to collect. He does! He's good enough for 1. He doesn't want to push his luck. Rexon makes some serious damage happen. Setting up Dream in a 1v2 after the remainder of Rexon was down, but Dream hits his shots. Geo's there to trade it back. Ooh, that got dicey for Soniqs for a second, but they stick the landing.
And still 2 teams carrying the same issues as they had from the previous round, except this time OXG's slow pace was finally punished by the Soniqs. Gunner decides to stay up top. One of his teammates does as well. I believe that was Grixer on the top floor, if I do remember correctly. They both end up getting taken down, and that gives OXG a 3v3 instead of a 5v3. But again, because of how long OXG are taking on these clears, I mean, just look at how long it took Yaga and Newers to set up that 2-person clear into Office, and they only ended up getting 2 kills because Gunner was caught lacking. Grixer was pinched as well, very late into the early round. But Soniqs that time were able to punish them for that slow pace by Citizen going to the flank, OXG's intel not being completely there. But Soniqs still are giving away picks in the mid-round, and OXG are still taking very long to get an opening pick on the early round, if they get one at all. And while they have been able to brought it back, still am looking to see a bit more excitement in that early round from OXG if they're going to actually have a hope at getting consistent attacking rounds instead of just betting on Soniqs, giving them opportunities around a minute 30 or a minute left. That's what I would hope to see.
10 seconds left.
Did you hear that?
I do.
Very bizarre.
There's loud noises.
I was actually incorrect with the bomb site. It was bathroom tellers.
That's all good. I let you roll with it.
They're getting old. These eyes don't see as good as they used to, you know? This is why you, as my son, you to carry on my legacy here.
I told you I was bring your son to work day. There was a utilitarian purpose to it, as opposed to just an emotional one.
Here's a reference for a lot of you. He looks like Emzo. He's dressed like Emzo used to dress.
He claims I look like Emzo, which, to be fair, all my memories of Emzo are him in a suit.
He wore a lot of button-up t-shirt type deals, like short-sleeve shirts, and then like khakis.
You know what's
exactly
funny?
What you're wearing.
I don't usually wear these that often.
I've actually never seen you wear that.
I bought these specifically for the broadcast. I want to, you know, spice up my wardrobe with, you know, a short sleeve button up like I'm at a cookout.
And within 5 seconds of us seeing you, you got cooked alive for your outfit.
Man, how disappointing. Oh!
Oh!
That's a good nade by
We'd love to
Yaga.
have seen Yaga's reaction there.
I'm sure it was exhilarating. However, that is a very good pick, though. Gio on the Maestro now taken down. Gio, by the way, suffering a lot in these opening duels, both on attack and defense. I mean, you're not expecting him to get the entries, but he has a very large amount of opening deaths. I believe in the double digits now over the course of the stage.
That's not good.
Which, again, you know, that happens, but him playing these pivotal operators like Maestro or Hard Breach on the attack, it can end up hurting the defense or the attack quite a bit. It really does not get old. It does not get old whatsoever. Citizen has also been on this lurker role quite a bit, and frankly, I'm also hoping we see a lot more success out of him today, because up until yesterday, we really have not seen the most from Citizen that I think we were expecting.
Oh, goodbye, Gunner. Gunner's impact as well has not been particularly great in this matchup. First player from Soniqs to get on the board this round is Rexon. He's been by far and away the best performer for Soniqs over these first 3 rounds. Citizen making some noise. Rexon up top. It's taken down by Sweater. 2 very young, very adept gunners. Down goes Citizen. I can't stop laughing at the photo. I'm sorry, I can't. And it keeps popping up every time, and it's just, it yanks me out of it.
Well, I mean, the problem is right here. The round's pretty much over at this point.
Oh, yeah, this is done.
Grixer, he's lost to C4.
12 bullets in the mag.
His rotation's being held from above. Flash is now pouring in. Newer's going for the plant from the main door angle as well. This is exactly what you'd expect to play the late round with. Can't get an angle. Ooh, great shot by Grixer. Bit of a misplay by Sweater from up above, gotta say, but they still close out the round anyway.
Yeah, you got 3 players there. I mean, obviously Newers is not the planter. He's going to plan on what he thinks is a safe spot. You got all the Swiss cheese holes in the wall. Allows Yog, the rest of the team, to just... Everybody's Yaga at this point because they're all his portrait. That's the same box, by the way, that was in the photo from OXG last game. It's been 24 hours. Clean up your garbage.
My room's quite clean.
I leave in like 13 hours, so my room's as clean as it's getting.
Also, can we just talk about, by the way, it's been 3 rounds now. You know, we always, we as casters, we like, okay, first round happened. This team to this team to that. All right, let's see how it works. Second round happens, same thing. Now the third round has happened. Now we actually have like some consistent things to talk about. Does this feel like one of the slowest borders you've seen in quite a while?
It feels like you've been casting for an hour.
OXG, and this isn't to say that OXG that round are doing anything wrong, because now it's becoming apparent that OXG might not be stalling out. They might just be waiting for SQ to peek them as an actual conscious strategy instead of stalling out. And if SQ are going to keep rotating in front of them or keep giving OXG those gunfights, we're going to keep having a very slow border today, and OXG will likely be able to run up the scoreboard on this attack as a result. So initially it seemed okay, maybe OXG are stalling out, not attacking properly, not getting maybe the intel they need. Now it seems like they might just be waiting for SQ to make a misplay, and SQ are more than happy to give it to them, even in the 1 round that the Soniqs ended up winning.
Ooh.
IQ on the board.
Yeah. He sees the KMs and missed.
All good. I think he actually got it.
Did he get it?
I think the Z-ping just lasts after it's destroyed.
Wow. It's got some stamina.
It does. He saw a Valk cam in the CCTV window as well. Maybe this will allow SQ to facilitate some aggression in the early round while also feeling a bit more comfortable to rotate back. And we see a little bit more decisiveness and more committing either in taking those fights early or rotating later on.
I do hope that we see more operators get added to the game that have unique styles of drones. Seeing Twitch, Flores, and Brava all have healthy pick rates. Cause for celebration is joyous.
It is.
I like that.
It's also, with Brava being banned, Twitch is a very natural substitute because Foxay, who plays that Brava when she's unbanned, is playing the Twitch right now and doing something very similar, except instead of hacking those cameras, he's destroying them. But I imagine the run he has, where he moves his Brava drone and what to hack, the overlap between that and what he destroys as Twitch is likely very similar. And with the mirror on the board as well, again, Twitch another very useful operator here, and it'll likely be very useful in clearing out Gunner.
Nade goes down, but Everybody's still alive. Gunner's taking some serious damage. This is a, unfortunately, this is more of a vintage Gunner game. That is gone. Newer's had so many bullets that he can just empty that mag. Now allows Sweater to post up quite aggressively, and Grixer walks right into it. I don't think SQ were anticipating OXG being so close to the action. Of course, it's Rex in there to save the day. Firing back, still holding down Fountain. There's a retake as well from Geo.
The photo's
it
so
does
funny.
not stop getting old. It is so
Also,
funny.
to OXG so far this round, now it's a 3v2. Citizen lurking down below has gotten one. Site is almost cleared, but now Soniqs have rotated back. OXG have been a lot more forceful on that clear into Fountain and Office, and while they don't hold as wide of an advantage as they once did, they've pushed Citizen and Geo back. Citizen is out of a C4, and with Dream now rotating to get in a position to hop in that vent window and plant, OXG seem to have what they need.
Did he pull the C4? Because it was by Office hallway from underneath.
No, all the C4s are destroyed.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can see that actually. Nice pick from Geo. He's keeping these numbers tight, real tight. Fox A in pursuit on the main stairs, watching as Dream gets the plant down, but one slips by. No. That's a blind spot. Fox A needs to do some work, and can he get it done? Neither of them can. Time runs out. Geo wins the round for Soniqs.
That was a round right there that might very well have been won, or at least made a lot cleaner by Geo picking that Oryx, because as you saw, Citizen and Geo timed their peak and their rotation with each other. Right as Citizen peaks on metal stairs, Fox A has to take that fight, and the moment that happens, Geo Rima dashes from small office all the way into archives to kill the planter. That's unfortunately because Geo also got that initial pick, making the 3v2 a 2v2. Fox A is then forced into that position, and there's not much he can do there unless he can somehow flick between Citizen and a Rima dashing Oryx, which I don't think even Newers could do at his best invite game this past couple months. It's unfortunately not a situation that Fox A is likely going to win. However, even though they ended up losing the round, saw a lot of good things from OXG. Again, like I said earlier, they moved into Office very quickly. They were very decisive about it. They got those kills. They played off of each other. Newers hopping in the printed window is especially a play I like quite a bit with the pressure they had on Gunner from East Stairs as well. So I really liked OXG's attack, even though they ended up losing it in the late round with a very good coordinated play between Citizen and Geo.
Bomb located by attackers. 10 seconds remaining.
All right. A very competitive border so far for OXG. I mean, I don't think that's what they want to see.
Not at all.
Not with the amount of experience that they have, not the amount of times and the reps they've got down on this map. It is good, though, that OXG's won 2 rounds already. At this point, the bar for OXG is literally underground. So for them, if they can clear 2 or 3 rounds, just to start off on that footing, I think they're in much better shape than they have been. I mean, you win a cumulative 6 rounds over your last 4 matches, and now you've already won a third of those, and you still potentially have 2 more maps to play. That's good shape, and look at that. It's the ghost of Yaga. Down goes Citizen, down goes Rex, and how on earth do you kill 2 people that fast?
Well, it would appear...
It's hyperbole, or sorry, it's a rhetorical question. But please, pretend that it wasn't. No way, there's a third. Geo dancing on the corpse of his teammates, and Yaga gets the last laugh, 3 kills.
Look at how excited he is.
You can't even.
Quick one from OXG as they all peek Yaga, the original and the clones, and fall.
He was involved in every single kill. In every death.
He was involved in every kill. I mean, there's not much to say about that round right there. We had a...
I got a lot to say about that round.
I believe a run out of some kind combined with some very good fortuitous positioning from Yaga results in a double kill. And then you're in that 3v5, and that's always a stressful position for the defense, because especially with 2 kills lost that early on, playing site, you're just going to give all the map control to OXG, not only for free, but at a very, very stark disadvantage. So you need to get aggressive, and unfortunately there, Yaga was still watching the angle. Very good game sense by Yaga on that one. Got to give credit where credit is due. And then at that point, it seemed like Sonic just kind of fell over. So a 4-2 half potentially for OXG on border. If they can win this last round, they will be very, very happy with that. Very happy with that. Not disappointed whatsoever.
No. This has been an excellent game so far.
There's already been just quite a bit of entertainment value from the
10 seconds left.
Yaga camera. And honestly, just seeing OXG start to kind of claw things back is very nice to see. However, with how well OXG are doing, I want to see how this second half plays out, because we have round 6, whether it's a 4-2 or a 3-3. If OXG have a very good defensive half, which so far on border in the NAL, they've been able to close out all their games, I believe in regulation, on border specifically, or at least been able to close them out, period, going up 3-0 on the map. It'll make me wonder if we see OXG perform on the second half as well, why this map wasn't banned, because this is by far and away OXG's best map, and at least to me, this seemed like a very glaring, obvious ban for Soniqs after they, banned their permaban at Bank.
I was going through last night and looking at just what I've casted so far up to this point, and I didn't see if I'd casted a Bank. So it would have been nice to actually have that.
I casted a Bank.
Nobody asked.
All right.
Citizens the first to die. That's the roaming/lurking Oryx. There's a distinction there. Roaming and lurking are not the same thing.
They are not.
Citizen often plays on that lurk role, and this is a little fun fact for you as well. There was a period of time at the onset of Rainbow Six when the language of the game was still being crafted, that if you said lurking at all, under any circumstances, period, you would have your knuckles wrapped. They would yell at you.
Well, then I remember I read a tweet from Pojo, I think a couple years ago, that talked about how that there's actually, how sometimes we just say the word aggression on a broadcast, and that there's a lot of different kinds of aggression that can be happening. Lurking being one example, and I don't remember all the examples that he specifically mentioned, but there are, and as Rainbow Six has grown as a game, grown a diversity of terms to say similar things. What is not diverse, though? These past few rounds. OXG getting the opening pick, usually by 1 or 2 without dropping a single body. Stark contrast from round number 1, in which SQ were getting things, and OXG were still winning the round.
Oh, okay, Rexon. Usually getting this first pick. Gunner had the read through the smoke. Nicely done to take down Dream. That's Diffuser as well inside events. They'll need to retrieve that from the side of OXG. It's in a really rough spot if you don't have the presence of mind to deal with Workshop. It's on that vent window the moment you vault in. So you're essentially going to need to vault in, pick up the Diffuser, and then get the plant down quickly, or at least immediately reposition.
They do still have some very good control. Yaga, of course, as you can see, is very worried about the player still over inside of office, and if he continues to hold this upstairs angle, he'll have to be concerned about that unless somebody from OXG, maybe Yaga, for example, throws a drone over there, but Foxy getting the bomb down. Someone's got to watch this angle. No, Gunner just pre-fires it with a Z-ping. Coverage not there for OXG.
Where are the 2 players from Oxygen? What are you doing? Newer's outside the building. He's covering the single doorway, or the double doorway, rather, leading into
15 seconds
west,
left.
I suppose, if you want to call it that. Oh, Grixer, okay. Grixer's second kill.
Remaining.
Gunner had no kills, by the way, up until this round. He makes his presence felt. Good round from SQ.
Good round from SQ, bringing that back in the mid-round as OXG, as we saw. Got 2 kills very quickly. And then they had what they need to go for a plant. They made a very smart decision. They went in for the plant. They had the upstairs control. Could they have had more? Could they have gone for a full clear? Yeah, sure. They could have pushed the roamer back on the top floor, pushed him back down east stairs. But they had the bare minimum of what they needed if they wanted to go for a plant where they run through main door and plant on the ventilation door as well. But unfortunately there, we don't exactly know how those 2 kills came back, but it seemed to be when they vaulted in that vent window. Bomb is now dropped, and OXG, even then, in the 3v3, still have just enough to make it work if some things go their way, but there was a lot of uncertainty from Newers and Yaga as well. Understandably, with somebody very close by from Newers, on the bottom of metal stairs, as you pointed out, and somebody facing Yaga all the way inside of Archives. So while they had what they needed, that's what happens if you end up going from that 5v3 to that 3v3 and don't have a lot of maybe flank drones, for example. All those positions that while you have enough to hold, you got to watch your back while also covering the planter, and then you can result in still losing the round, as we just saw. Now making it a 3-3.
10 seconds left.
I have heartbreaking news.
What?
The Yaga cam has been fixed.
No! I mean, it's, good. The camera is fixed. I mean,
We'll always have those moments together.
All good, I was about to say, all good things have to come to an end. Because while the camera...
I cannot get over the timing on that one play. Yaga immediately gets the two-piece and then just switches to Geo or whoever it is, and it's the Yaga camp.
It was
again.
Grixer.
Ooh. Nice pick by Sweater onto Gunner. Man, I feel like I've cast every single Soniqs match so far this stage, and I talk about Gunner an awful lot because obviously scrutiny at this level is really, really high, but there are just so many rounds where if I'm Soniqs, you gotta be frustrated with the fact that Gunner is just dying needlessly without influencing the round in any real way.
Well, which is an interesting point to bring up because, well, as we see Sweater getting very aggressive right now, Rexon taking that fight. Gunner has the most combined entry engagements on the Soniqs so far this stage, which given his position, he probably shouldn't be having. He's on a second support position, often playing these roles like Thatcher or Nomad, which you can frag with after you, say, lay down your air jabs or use your EMPs. But I think it shows that players like Rexon, for example, like Newers, have been putting up an okay performance, but Gunner on the roles he's at probably should not have the most entry engagements on the team. Not necessarily the most victories and the most losses, but the most combined engagements. He is, at least in the early round, the most aggressive player statistically. A little bit biased towards the defense instead of the attack, but still. And right now, OXG getting very aggressive in the early round as well. We just reach a minute 30. Sweater runs out on Gunner, now impactless. You can't use those EMPs, and now Grixer, their main source of soft destruction with that buck gone as well. The C4 almost taking away Rexon's life. OXG are clearly showing that if you're going to take them to any map, border might not be the choice you want to go for in the future.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 3-3. First half is relatively even. We have a whole host of border stats to look at. We can do that next round in regards to what the site rotation usually is for teams and what the win rates are. Is it a defender-favored border? Is it an attacker-favored border? We'll find out, obviously. Or, well, we know the answer, but we'll relay that information to you. Maybe not when it's about to
hit the execute.
Yeah, maybe not opportune.
Wait a little bit.
So, 45 seconds left. This game has tightened up. Obviously, it being OXG's map, not the result they want to start with, but already 3 rounds for OXG is beating where they've been over the last 4 games. Again, that bar is underground. It's so low at this point. And Soniqs are just going to continue to win these 1v1 engagements as OXG decides to take them. This is going to be a 3-man drop right in the bathroom. Okay, well, they all hit the deck. That could have been a sloppy end. There's the Maestro cam giving information. OXG firing back. They've now put SQ at a disadvantage. Diffuser picked up, it's juggled around. Citizen is a soft wall next to him. Shredded by Dream, who's got only one more target to find. Can Rexon be the hero? No, he can't. All in hand, just fire hose of bullets. Goes in the direction of SQ, and OXG on their very first defense walk away with a win.
Soniqs decide to go for a hatch drop down bathroom, and unfortunately there, it's a similar problem, albeit a different manifestation as to what we saw on that vents round, the last round of OXG's attacks. It was a 3-3. They had technically the control they needed, but they didn't have enough of a man advantage to make it a comfortable execute or a comfortable plant to cover. That's a similar position that the Soniqs were just in, but again, a different manifestation. They go for a bathroom drop, but because it's a 3v3, and they actually were the ones that had to bring the man count back, they don't have anybody to spare to push vents from behind or push down courtyard. Instead, they all drop down and try to flood the site, but that means you're then walking into angles held by OXG. And when there's a fire hose of bullets sitting inside of vents...
That's what I call it.
I know. That's called callback. Mm-hmm. Use a familiar term to convey a similar concept.
Oh, is that what it is?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
After the Evil Eye's glass is broken, you can still peek it, especially once it goes to a 3v2. So Soniqs make the decision to drop down that hatch. Unfortunately, just given the lack of a man advantage, that also quickly turned into a disadvantage with the moment they dropped and tried to go for the plant. It's not the kind of execute that is going to go smoothly, and very much would have had to come down to Soniqs winning a very quick gunfight that would have been very disadvantageous anyway.
First timeout of the day used as well. Try to get in the heads of your players.
Bomb located by attackers.
I don't even know what I would talk about.
I mean, personally, for Soniqs, one of the main problems that they've had, at least on border historically, during their DZ game, again, a game they ended up winning, one of their main problems was they would start out in the early game, they would seem to make some control, but then they would struggle to identify what to do with it. They would struggle to then convert that into meaningful either further control or an execute. Even if they had enough to, you know, hit the go button and start pushing into the site, they would sort of stall out, and then players would start moving on with their own game plans and then playing away from each other instead of playing off a coordinated playbook. For Soniqs so far, at least in that round, definitely seemed like maybe partially because of the early round they lost gunners so on, they weren't able to react accordingly, or even if that's what the type of execute they had planned the whole time, it was one that was really going to bite them if they didn't have players maybe rotating around to go to vent. So I think maybe kind of communication and how those executes being called might be one thing. Another thing, maybe just getting early round intel to making sure that your Thatcher is not shot in the head in the first 15 seconds.
My friend's Thatcher got shot in the face.
It was very, very sad. Rest in peace, boo-boo.
Alas. Well, this ventilation workshop hold, this is correct this time. I'll retrieve that DAP. Obviously, your first focus for Soniqs, take control of the top floor. See the electrification on the hard wall and the reinforcements of Armory Wall. First line of defense looks to be Yaga, as an abundance of drones are thrown his way. Citizen has slipped in.
Good.
Yaga doesn't know that, but Newers does. He's far enough back inside of Archives, and down goes Citizen. But it's a trade-out. Now you've got control of Armory for Soniqs. Unless Newers retakes, you'll still be able to see that long line of sight.
And Soniqs clearly going for a ventilation plant right now, like we saw OXG do. Not pushing further for that office or Archives control. They're just going to try to push through that main door, use the control that Gunner has right now, likely use those breach charges as well to open up some remaining holes to cover the plant from above. But again, same position as Yaga was in a few rounds ago. Those players will remain up there. They probably know at this point that you're not clearing them out, that you're only going for a half clear of the map. And that means they can stay there, and if there's only one guy up there, where there's two players for OXG, they can rotate over, play those trades, and then deny the vertical angle. And Foxy also has this angle in jail that he can use as well, and as Soniqs push on in, those are all factors that they need to worry about.
Well, I mean, Geo did push on in, but was said goodbye to by Newers, who is putting up a very impressive body of work. An ace denied, but a 4K still on the table. Sweater wanted a kill of his own. No honor among thieves, I assume. Foxy gets on the board as well that round, as three separate players from OXG make their presence felt. And they are now on 5 rounds, getting ever closer to putting away their own map.
And two very solid defenses so far as well. I mean, from beginning round to the end, we saw OXG do exactly what they needed to do. We see one player playing a little bit by himself in Armory, but Newers is holding a long angle and is able to get his trade. At that point, Soniqs are a little reluctant to push on in. They're worried. They likely recognize the precariousness of the situation in front of them because of the take they want to do, because they weren't able to maybe go for more control or weren't able to keep Citizen alive and gain a solid advantage instead of having it traded back out. But that take is now a lot harder. And even with maybe about a minute left, they don't send anybody around, don't send anybody up that hallway at the bottom of metal stairs to hit ventilation workshop from behind, or maybe deal with Foxy inside of Passport. Soniqs just decide to push on in, and there really was not a lot going their way to make that a cleaner round. OXG still had a lot of control, a lot of angles, clearly as you saw by Newers getting 3 kills in that round so far. And now as they go to Armory, which is the main site that people tend to go to on border, at least when you think of a border defense, this is the one that usually comes to mind. If they're able to complete this and complete a perfect site rotation, it's match point.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Yeah, big ups to Newers, by the way. You talked about how Newers has had some consistency issues right at the top of the broadcast, and it's almost like you took that personally. Because suddenly...
Good. I want him to. I want him to do well. When Newers is on, it's honestly, it's incredible to watch. I want him to see him do well.
Does it make you biased?
It doesn't make me biased. It makes me someone that enjoys watching great players do great things. It means I'm biased in favor of the game.
I'm just teasing you.
Well, I took it personally, just like Newers.
I don't think he can hear you.
He can't. He cannot hear me, unfortunately. I'd say, hey, Newers, you're doing a great job. Because he is. 9-4 right now. The main roamers so far for OXG on this site as he's picking the Oryx. Soniqs also looking to go for that east clear. That east take that we saw OXG do earlier. They're at least They're really all over the map right now, so maybe it's a bit too early to tell.
I think in terms of numbers, Dream has actually been the most statistically consistent player for OXG on border. He's having a very human game at the moment. Foxay was in a tough corner inside of Archives. Rexon almost gets the best of him. Foxay escapes with just a tiny bit of HP. He'll linger on that for the next 2 minutes. Ooh. Oh, okay, he's on the other side of the wall. Oh, but I mean, I guess he didn't hear it. Okay, the nade goes in the small office. Yaga taking a tiny bit of damage. It looked like he probably should have been hurt a little bit more than that. Sweater will have his revenge. There's OXG. 4 kills away from match point on border, as Gunnar is the first to die yet again. A very familiar refrain so far on border.
Yep, he's 0-3 so far in this game for the Soniqs, and also only 3 opening engagements going Soniqs' way, period. Only 1 on this half so far, the other 2 being on their defensive half earlier. So actually enjoying all the advantages that come with that. And this bottom floor control, these nades from below have really not been going Soniqs' way so far this game, but so far this stage as well. And sure enough, Citizen caught down below. CCTV control is now firmly OXG's for the rest of the round.
And it's funny because the first time that Citizen was engaging, it was with Yaga in a very similar position. Nade from below from Grixer finds its target. The tiny bit of HP for Fox is now gone. Rexon posted up on the outside stairs as Geo gets the diffuser down, and Rexon is all it takes to keep this one locked out. OXG
this is
in troubling position, but Yaga's got 4 kills, will not be able to get an ace. It's Newers versus Rexon. Can Rexon watch over this diffuser? Playing a tight angle, expecting the Oryx to run out. This is up to Newers to read this one correctly. Rexon has to go for the reload as Newers hops on that diffuser. He can long arm this, and he falls. Oh! And Newers reads it correctly, smokes Rexon, and moves Oxygen to match point.
That's a brutal loss for Soniqs, not just because that's now match point for OXG. That was so winnable for Rexon, even before he got that 1 kill and made it the 1v1. That was so winnable. Geo was able to get a kill off the plant. That is huge, because Soniqs did read an opportunity correctly. They saw that there was not a lot of players in Armory or Archives from OXG, and that they could get the bomb down and likely, as Geo bet correctly, get a kill falling off the plant, and even though they lost Grixer, still make it a 2v2. Geo dies, but Rexon is in a very winnable position. He has the advantageous gunfight. He can hear if players start walking out from that balcony to take a fight with him. Sure, he can't maybe kill the player who's long-arming around the corner, but he could kill their coverage. That's a 1v1 right there, and then it makes it easier. He kills one as they're rotating to try and deal with the post plant. Newers is on basically 1 HP as well. He unfortunately makes the decision to sprint because he second-guesses himself. He thinks, what if I don't have enough time? What if I don't get an angle on him in time? Decision cost him the round, unfortunately. It was still would have been a 1v2, but it was a very winnable 1v2 that he played up until that point very well.
I think both of them played it about just as well as you could.
I'd agree. It was really a very small mistake.
I think wagging your finger at one of them playing it incorrectly is not the right way to go. I'm not talking about you in particular. I'm saying in general.
I'm agreeing with you.
It was me just speaking it into the ether.
Another rhetorical question.
Sometimes things don't need an answer.
I always need an answer.
Like, could Jesus himself microwave a burrito so hot that even he himself could not eat it?
Do you remember when I talked about...
We're just going to glaze over what Sweater just did, but...
No, I'm actually not. Do you remember when I talked about that Geo was suffering a lot of these opening deaths on, like, important roles like Hard Breach?
It just happened again.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about right there. And it's
you talking about baseball?
Gunner's dead as well.
You talking about baseball?
No, I don't want to talk about baseball.
It's opening day.
I don't care about baseball.
It's opening day.
It's boring.
That's not what they say. That's not what Eric Andre says.
That's not, but I like to put my own artistic license on it.
You know, I understand on the role he is. Gunnar plays a very feast or famine style. We've criticized Merc for it. He's going to be in action later today as well. Because SSG looking like one of the best teams in North America. Maybe the world, we don't know. We don't have enough data.
Too early to call.
Way too early to call. Nade goes in, nobody's there. But there have just been so many games this season where Gunnar will go really, really big, and then the next 2 games, he goes 1-6 on entry or 1-6 on roam.
And I think part of that is just the way that SQ's system is set up. Yeti faced a very similar fate when he was playing a very similar role on the Soniqs to Gunnar. He ended up having low stats, not performing very well, and ended up playing a very different role on SSG and Mirage now as well. I think Gunnar might be suffering from a little bit of that system, but him being a young star as well, definitely a little bit on the over-aggressive side at times, given his young age.
Oh, okay. Dream doesn't even see that one coming. Grixer enters through what appeared to be jail. He's inside a stock now, and all of these walls completely soft. Grixer will create lines of sight over towards lobby through small office to the top of metal stairs. It's a powerful spot for a Buck to be in. And funny enough, this is actually where Dream plays most frequently, and we call this out every time OXG goes to this map, is that Dream's just going to play in custom. He's going to play in stock. But he always seems to exist until the very end. Just dispatch 2 people in that area, or 1 upstairs in security, create lines of sight from below, or from above, kill him from above. Doesn't matter if he's playing below.
Right now, there is one player from the Soniqs up above, holding that east stairs angle, making sure that nobody can retake from office, but Citizen's stuck a little bit right now. OXG have somebody in vents, they have somebody on that hatch, and with Soniqs pushing from this courtyard position, a lot of really powerful spots they can retake from, and on top of that, with the advantage, Soniqs, they'll likely need a kill to make this a little bit better for them and a little bit more tolerable.
Citizen and Grixer working in tandem now, closing in on the bomb site. Soft walls there, but they will rely on the Buck to open them up. OXG sitting pretty at the moment. There you go. Citizen has a way in, takes a lot of damage in the process. There goes a Nitro Cell. Grixer is down to Foxay, and Citizen turns his back to the player in bathroom. Sweater picks up his 3rd kill, 1 for Foxay, and Rexon gets slaughtered as the final player of Soniqs. Can't do much. OXG wins their map, and they're up 1-0 on the series. We got more games to come. We'll get to them in just a second.